Thank you very much, Chris, for this very nice introduction. As well, thank you very much to PARIX inviting me. I'm very excited to present to you today, well, the key results of the Her Compass 2025 for Germany, France, Italy, and Spain. So, what I would like to tell you or to share with you before I start going into details is my presentation is split into 4 or 5 different sections. I would like to start with the growth and the general penetration of audiobooks across Europe. The second one is about the connection between reading and listening and reading, and I think this is really a very interesting part. It was always part of the partner conversations I had, and we decided as well to integrate this into the Her Compass, in the Compass survey. The third part is as well about one step further in terms of entertainment formats. Where are audiobooks in relation as well to other entertainment segments like TV and movies, etc.? The fourth part, and honestly, this is the part I love the most because this is directly connected to my job. It's about the European listening habits. So what they are listening, what they like, how the lifestyle influence also the listening behavior. Last but not least, the last section I would like to share with you after we have seen the data points, the growth, the listening, the reading, the entertainment section, also what's next. What we are going to do, and maybe as well together with you, having all these learnings. So let's start. I would like to say, well, lean back, listen, relax, enjoy. Welcome at Compass. So first section, spoken word contents growth and penetration across Europe. And let me start with a very strong message here. It's the audiobook format is the fastest growing segment in the global publishing industry since years. So I think this is really why a kind of privilege to work in this segment and as well to contribute to the growth. I think it's thanks to you, to your efforts, thanks to our efforts as well, we are where we are, and there are still, let's say, further steps to do to let it grow even more. So what we see as well, really, there's a remarkable growth in the spoken word content, and also a really widespread adoption across Europe in the major marketplaces. But what is the Compass saying? So the Compass says, well, the people we surveyed, 70% in Germany, France, Italy, and Spain are saying, yes, I do listen to spoken word content. And this means not only audiobooks, it's also podcast, a very, very big part. It's dramatizations, serialized content, also a very big part, and as well, in a few times, originals. So 70% of the people we interviewed, we surveyed, are listening to spoken word content. And now I would like to zoom a little bit more into the 4 countries we are focusing on. Let's talk about Spain. So, and honestly, this is not fake data. Spain is really leading here. It's not because you are the host, you are hosting PARIX. I'm happy to share with you that with 77% of the people we interviewed are saying, yes, I do listen to spoken word content. And zooming in a little bit more into how often. The frequent listener, and according to our survey, these are people listening to content at least once per month. Well, Spain is leading here with 54% also. And what we really see as well, and I think you will remind this number, because through the whole presentation, again and again, you will see that Spain is one really of the most active, avid listeners, according to the other marketplaces. Again, I would like a little bit more focusing on audiobooks. How does that look like? So the growth of the audiobooks as well, we have a remarkable development here, even though the numbers are smaller, but we see as well over the last few years that the pure audiobook consumption across Europe has been grown by 4%, and I apologize, Germany is leading and not Spain. So this is where we are. So this brings me right now as well to the nice number of 5 out of 10, meaning as well 5 people we interviewed, 10 people we interviewed, 5 were as well admitting, yes, I do listen to audiobooks. And This is more than last year. So I think this shows me also we are here on a good way. I think with the number 5 and the difference, there's still room for improvement. So again, I think we are ahead of not boring times. But let's move on. So this brings me to the second part, how audiobooks are expanding the European publishing segment and getting more people to read. And this is really, or as I mentioned at the beginning, we integrate this part very consciously into the compass. And as well, my team contributed with a few questions because I think this is interesting for you, how the connection is. I have faced several conversations that partners are saying, is there cannibalization when I go into audio? Do I miss as well some maybe unit sales in books? And just a side note, when I say books, I always refer to physical books and ebooks. So we wanted to know as well a bit more how the consumer, how the customer potentially are, well, thinking about this. And I'm really, really happy. I think the 8 and the 0 is a very, very clear message here. So 80% of the people we surveyed were saying, yes, I listen to audiobooks and I'm reading. Please keep the end in mind. So this is very, very clear. So there's a very huge overlap. And Italy is leading here with 86%, directly followed by Spain. But this was not enough. We want to know more about that relation. So this kind of, how this is connected. Is there a synergy? Yes, no, maybe. And we went one step further. We asked as well, but what's going to happen when you start listening to audiobooks? What's going to happen with your consumption of books? And now it was not the end. Well, the end thing was in the first question, and now we do see, yes, I listen to audiobooks and I'm consuming even more books. So I think this is really the important message here. It's and more questions to come. So what we do see here, a very positive synergy between the two different formats, even though they have something in common. And we at Audible, we are internally talking and speaking about the book lover. And I like this word very much because the relation between books and audiobooks, maybe there's also kind of love story. So what we also wanted to understand, now that we know they are reading, also reading, they are more reading as well, how does that influence as well? And we figured out that this is then on the right side as well, people who are listening to an audiobook, they also decided to buy the physical or ebook. So it's one step further. So here again, no fake data. Spain is leading with 70%. The average data are 60%. Sorry. And one last point on this is also, we asked also, and what's going to happen if you have read a book? Are you as well listening to the audiobook? Is this not boring? No. And we have as well very clear data here. It's even stronger. So 67% in average are saying, yes, I also want as well to listen to the audiobook after having read the physical or ebook. Spain is leading with 69% again. So coming to an end on that section, and this is really an interesting section for my taste, I have to say. We wanted as well, we would like as well to know, we asked as well, okay, and what's going to happen if you are really, let's say, connected or deep into audiobook listening consumption? And 85% were saying, well, thanks to audiobook, I was able, this was a kind of door opener for me. I get to new authors, new stories, new topics. And I think this is really key. So please, when you go out today, at least from this keynote, take this away. Listeners are book lovers. There's really a very clear connection. Don't be afraid of producing audiobooks. You are not losing, you are winning. So this was the relation between reading and listening. Let's move one step further in terms of other entertainment, let's say, segments. How the growth of audiobooks has contributed to the entire entertainment and culture landscape. Very long title. So what we wanted to know as well here is, are you influenced or triggered as well by other media you're consuming? And well, the answer is pretty clear here. 77% of the people we interviewed, we surveyed, were saying, yes, I saw a movie, I saw a TV series, anything else. I read a graphic novel, so I was inspired, and therefore as well, I choose an audiobook. So this influenced as well my choice. I get curious. I wanted to learn more about this. So, and what I would like to say here, that audiobooks also, they are really part of that, let's say, whole cosmos of entertainment pieces or segments. So we are as well, as an audiobook, we are as well a kind of bridge. We are a connector. We can connect different formats as well. And it's a kind of holistic world. I very much like, beside the book lover thing, I like the word as well here, the cross-pollination. So they are really interacting with each other, and try to think about what is the connector here. It's for sure the storytelling is the baseline, but also, for example, a narrator. Maybe it's an actor. Maybe I have seen the actor in the movie and I liked him or her very much. And therefore as well, I recognized him or her as a narrator for an audiobook. So I would like to demonstrate this is really a whole ecosystem. And please be conscious about this and try to leverage this as much as possible. One example as well in a kind of, let's say, segment is I wanted to share with you what we did. It's also a different format. It's we released last year the famous title Pride and Prejudice. It was for sure already available since years as an audiobook, straightforward audiobook. And while due to the 250th birthday of Jane Austen, we decided we want to produce this in a kind of dramatization. So we decided to do in 6 different languages the dramatization. It was an audio first, we call them. And we put together something, a very unique, iconic story. Then as well, very famous actors or casts as a narrator. And then as well, the last ingredients was as well, Dolby Atmos music, really good stuff. And we released a much shorter version, but it's a different format. So what I would like to say, coming back as well to the connection of the different entertainment sections, even though this is also audio, but it's a different format, we could also, let's say, widen our revenue streams. We can use one IP to make more out of it. And also audiobooks are contributing as well to the cultural diversity. And I think this is really as well one of our key missions, working in the publishing industry. Now, finally, I can talk about the listening habits. So, before I would like to talk a little bit about why people are listening. Just let's pause again, and I think this is again thanks to what we all have done in the past. What we have reached is not only the general growth of audiobooks, audiobook consumption in the world. Audiobooks are right now seen and perceived by listeners as premium content. We are on the same level. It's not low-quality stuff for the ears. It's really high-level entertainment. So I think this is something I'm personally proud of, and I think it's nice to take in consideration again and again. So we asked as well the people in the 4 marketplaces, why are you listening? And I think there's a very, very clear answer. People want to learn. They want to be educated. It's really a deep motivation. What they have, what they share. So 86% of the listeners were saying, yes, I choose audiobooks because I would like to learn something. I would like to be inspired. But this is not enough. So what we also have learned is that in average, 60% are also listening to audiobooks because they would like to, it's connected to the mental health. Nearly 90% are listening because they would like to relax. Going deep into the listening experience, a kind of immersive experience, very connected to the narrator. This connects you as well from your everyday life, so you can step back. Maybe as well you can forget for a while worries, concerns. You get inspired, you learn something. So these are the reasons, the why people are listening. And for sure there are many more reasons. But these are really the key messages we took out of the compass. So, but now that we know as well why people are listening, I would like to spend a little more time about the specifics, zooming a little bit more into the marketplace, and now it's more fun. And we do see as well some patterns which are also connected to their cultural lifestyle. Let me start with Germany. I think this is very remarkable, and please don't ask me why I'm not listening to audiobooks while I fell asleep, but more than 30% of the Germans, they do so. And as well, just a side note, now talking from the Audible perspective, also one of our most famous podcasts has the simple title, Deep Sleep. Since years, super cheap production. So the Germans, well, with more than 1/3, are as well used to listen when they fell asleep, followed by the Spaniards, with 27%. So the French, and I think this is really an interesting one, they consciously choose to listen to audiobooks because they want to have screen-free time. And I think this is something, I know this from my own behavior, maybe you as well. I think we are watching at screens very, very often. So listening to audiobooks also brings me into another world, but I also can close my eyes. And this is also kind of relaxing from being permanently looking at something and to have all these, let's say, impacts. There's another point, and honestly, this is not in the presentation, but I like the point so much I have to share with you. Every 5th French listener likes to listen while cooking. So I think this is for me a very clear connection to the lifestyle element. So they love to listen to stories, to storytelling while they are cooking. The Italians are different, even though the food is also very good. More than 20%, 25% of the Italians, they do say, audiobooks, this is already my constant friend. It's my companion. This is a medium, this is a format which is at my side through the everyday. So they're really constantly listening, and it's already part of their everyday life, even though more than for other marketplaces. So, and now that we know as well a little bit more the lifestyle connections to the different marketplaces, I come to some numbers, and maybe you think, oh my God, what's this kind of news here? More than 70% are listening alone. Yes, well, thank you. I knew this already before. But I think more interesting is here the number 17. I would like to draw your attention to the number, even though it's for sure much smaller. But what we have seen in the compass is, even though it's slightly, but there is an increase with the 17%, that more and more people are also consuming or enjoying, it's the nicer word in this sense, not alone. And not only families with kids driving a car, you have these boring kids stories, but also really come together and listen to something. This is my personal interpretation, don't quote me. I would also like to say maybe this is also connected to the drama plays. So if it's more enriched, enhanced storytelling, and also for sure this development, even though it's still slight, but I think it's also, let's say, supported by the technical innovation of the smart speaker. But listening to a great story is also getting step by step a common experience, and not only alone with the headset. So just very common as well, and I think we all know, and this is the beauty of the segment we are all working on, is audiobooks are really a perfect companion for our flexible, agile, multitask life. But as I mentioned before, also gives us the chance sometimes to step back, to breathe, to relax. So it's both. Now that we know why people are listening and what the lifestyle is connected to them, etc., the big question is, what are they listening? So, not a surprise, there's a kind of a common taste in the world, unfortunately. But anyway, so there are 4 categories, key categories, led by far with mystery and suspense, thriller, followed with 38% 8% by crime. We still stay in the suspense area. And then as well with 35%, it's fantasy and sci-fi. And I think this is especially a very, very grateful category or genre because it's very often serialized. And as soon as people are hooked, they stay with you. The fourth one is historic novel, which is per definition a quite broad one. So a lot of things, a lot of titles are connected to historic novels. So these are the common categories which are pretty successful in listening. And now I would like to zoom into the taste of the different marketplaces. So one thing I would like to start with, and this is very remarkable, I like it very much, is even though mystery suspense is the common ground for all four marketplaces, there's one thing which stands out in Italy. They love literary fiction. It's really as well, we do see this in a lot of data points. For example, speaking now from Audible perspective, one of our most listened titles last year in Italy was a Strega Prize winner. And we do see they have very deep roots into their literary culture, and they are very proud of this, and they are very connected to this. So this is typical for Italy, for sure also mystery and thriller. Interesting is also in the non-fiction category, Italy has the highest appetite for biographies and memoirs. So coming to France and Germany, here the most listened genre is by far mystery and thriller. German 50%, France a little bit less. The German as well, with a kind of, let's say, they need also, they love a portion of blood. They have the tendency to horror. The French want to mix and balance this a little bit more with romance. They really like to listen to romance stories. In terms of non-fiction, just to share something which is not written there, well, the Germans very much like to listen to self-optimization. The common ground for all of us in non-fiction is well-being and health across all marketplaces. And the French, what do they like? Also in non-fiction, which is remarkable, parenting. This is really something they like. They are very much interested in more the personal development, more the social stuff. So let's talk about Spain. Remember at the beginning, 77%, Spain is really very much addicted to listening. And what's the connection here to the categories? Honestly, Spain is the marketplace with the most diverse taste. I think maybe it's coming from your tapas culture, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So they really would like to listen to everything. Everything seems to be interesting for them. Well, that's nice, I think. So, and as well, in contrast to the others, what we have seen also is that the Spaniards have the highest ratio or the highest number with 39% listening to comedy. So, well, I think there are a lot of topics to discuss maybe in the pauses when we have a coffee. So, but let's talk about how listeners are choosing. And one of the key elements is for them as well, the narrator. The narrator is really absolutely key. So the voice you connect to a story is a kind of door opener for you. It's with 81%, people are choosing an audiobook because of this person is reading. And I know as well in my personal, or my friends are as well waiting until the narrator X is doing the next audiobook, no matter the genre. So the narrator is absolutely key for them to choose an audiobook. They are very loyal. They stay with the narrator also. It's the criteria number 3 when they choose. One is topic, genre, the Germans also the price, and then the narrator for the Germans, but normally for the others, it's really the narrator on number 3 taking a decision for a specific audiobook. So, and well, here are as well a few names. I'm not going to try to pronounce them, but these are some famous actors we are working with quite successfully, and we did some very good narrations with them. What I would like to highlight to you is as well here that it's absolutely key if you build up a catalog, you need the local language. You need really a big portion, a big portion of local language content, especially when you think about the more South European marketplaces. So in Spain, it's, I think, about 96%, 95% listening only to local content. Please connect this also with local stories. Think about the Italian and really their close connection to literary fiction. Mix this with a very good local narrator or actor, and I'm pretty sure it will be a success story. So now we have heard about the growth, the penetration. Still room for growth, but it's a steady growth. It's a success story already. So the second part was about the love story of reading and listening, listening and reading. There's more hungry. They are really hungry to get more stories. The second one is the whole cross-pollination, take that away. In the entertainment sector, everything is connected to each other. It's not ups and downs, it's a kind of circle, it's a kind of holistic entertainment thing. And we, as the audiobook industry, we are part of this. Play with it. What's coming next? I think this is right now the big question. So let's talk about this. And maybe I'm stepping a little bit away from the compass now. So this is what we have in mind for next. Maybe with you, maybe not. But let's work on this. So one thing before I would like to discuss a little bit deeper are the audio first format here. And again, this is, even though I said I step back from the compass, the 86% are really the listeners, and they very much enjoy audio first content. So this is content designed really for the audiobook or the listening consumption. And we can talk about this a little bit. So this is really something we want to increase. We would like to work more on that side. It's on the one side, and there's another side. There's a common ground, and this is for us the human narration as a straightforward thing. This is the big foundation for our business. This is our core. This is us. This is our DNA. There are as well the audio first productions. And for sure, I can't have a presentation nowadays without coming to this topic. So on the other side, so audio first here, the big foundation. What's coming on the other side? I would like to share with you shortly that there are about 150 million books, physically and ebook, available in the world. And more or less 1 million, plus a little, in audio. So there's still a lot of room. Think about one of the first slides as well with the listener, 5 out of 10. Here we could easily say, well, 1,049,000 books are still not available. How can we close the gap? And for sure, one of the key topics for all of us is AI. This could be an opportunity to fill a gap or start filling a gap, bringing stories to life to find a listener. So, and we at Audible are also offering here some tools to help. It's as well not a neither nor, it's not a substitution, it's as well something we can work on in addition. So the common ground are the audiobooks as we know them and we love them. The audio first, so more try to experiment a little bit more with different formats and as well with an ingredients of new technology, and think as well about what can I do, what can I leverage if I'm open as well more to these kind of, let's say, tools to produce audiobooks as well with support. So this brings me to the end of my keynote for today. And I would like to finish with, well, it's our mission to really work on that every great story is told in audio, in every language, and that we are going to reach every appropriated listener. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Barbara. I think they'll be bringing up a chair. We'll have time for one or two very brief questions. And as I was listening to your presentation, I was thinking about the emphasis you placed on the relationship people have with audiobooks and the chance to relax or even escape. And normally we think of escape as a bad thing, but considering the state of the world today, it's not surprising.
No.
Please have a seat there if you want.
Thank you.
And I do want to leave time for questions, and I think there'll be a microphone coming around. Since you mentioned it, and I want to dig in a little bit deeper to this audio-first concept. You said it's important to the listener, so we should all pay attention. Your data tells us what listeners are doing, and that's important for everyone in publishing to hear. Very briefly, what's your advice from Audible around creating audio-first content?
Well, first of all, I would say congratulations. Well, good that you took the decision to consider an audio first. There are different approaches, but I think very generally speaking, there are 3 very simple ingredients to cook, to make the cake. First of all, really be careful and be very conscious about the story you choose. I would personally recommend rely on an iconic topic, or maybe something you don't have to explain. This could be a new version of something, could be also something which is connected to an existing brand. I can share also some examples. So this is the first one. Be very mindful in terms of which piece of content you are choosing. The second one is, and well, we have seen the numbers. No? I mean as well the numbers in terms of how important the audio first is with the 86%, how important the narrator is, more than 80%. Choose the right narrator. Really spend a lot of time. Who is the right narrator? Maybe as well who's really a narrator who can create a kind of friction or to bring a kind of new perspective into the storytelling. This is the second one. The third one is as well what we did also, and I think this is an interesting one, to make it a kind of, even though more immersive experience, is bring in music. Think about the Dolby Atmos, really to mix these 3 elements. No? So iconic story, the narrator, and use as well what's possible from a technical perspective to enhance, to enrich the production. So, and 2 examples, or 1 example I would like to share. Now, I have already mentioned the Pride and Prejudice before. There's another one, a little bit different, but it's coming from Spain. So what we did as well, we did a kind of prequel to a series as well in audio first. So we use the series and we said, okay, and now we do an audio first, only in Audible. You will get information as well in terms of the prequel of this cosmos.
Great. Well, thank you, Barbara. Do we have time for a question from the audience? Just 1 question from the audience. There may be a microphone around if you raise your hand. Yes, back here. Please. Okay, you're all set. Please ask. And maybe tell us who you are.
Hi, I wanted to ask you if you have some data of immersive reading in which they read the book, the physical book, while they are hearing it.
What is the question of whether we are doing this?
The immersive reading?
Yes.
It's like a trend where you buy the book and you read, if you have some data on that.
No, honestly, this is something, this was not, I'm sorry, this was not yet part of the Hörkompass, of the Compass data in 2025, what we did, so maybe it will be soon. Yes, no, for sure, I think this is something quite new, and we are also working on this, that we are going to offer this as a kind of feature, but so far we don't have yet data, but maybe next year.
Well, thank you for the question, and thank you, Barbara Knabe, Head of Content Acquisition for EU and Latin America at Audible. Pleasure,
Thank you.
Barbara. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris.